Hello everyone, welcome to the Adkup Show. Today we are going to talk about something that impacts us and nobody even realizes it. How the US Navy helps keep global trade flowing, especially as we are looking at the latest developments in early 2025 and how this entire structure will be gone soon as the world moves towards deglobalization and replacing it with local supply chain. So without wasting time, let's get started. First off, let's understand how the modern globalization came to be established. While globalization in some form has existed since the ancient times through trade routes like the Silk Road, the focus here is on recent history. Post-World War II, the world entered into the era of Cold War, where it was effectively split into two ideological camps, those aligned with the United States promoting capitalism and those aligned with the Soviet Union advocating for communism. The United States, aiming to increase its sphere of influence, actively worked to create a network of allies by fostering economic integration. This was achieved through mechanisms like GATT, that is, General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, which later evolved into WTO, that is, World Trade Organization, by reducing trade barriers and encouraging cooperation across various sectors, including economics, politics, and even culture. This strategic expansion helped the US in countering Soviet influence, ultimately with the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, marking the end of the Cold War. The US model of capitalism and democracy became more widely accepted, paving the way for current phase of globalization. This process was not instantaneous, but evolved decade by decade, with each period seeing the world become more interconnected through technology, trade agreements, and international organizations, leading to globalized world we recognize today. Now, let's get a grip on why the US Navy is so crucial for globalization. This is USS Gerald R, which stand as a testament to the modern naval engineering and strategic might. It was commissioned in 2017. The supercarrier is a lead example of its class, embodying 23 new technologies that make it more efficient in launching and recovering aircraft compared to its predecessors, the Nimitz-class carriers. In terms of combat capability, the Ford can house and operate up to 75 aircrafts, including Super Hornets, Growlers, Hawkeyes, and potentially F-35, offering a versatile strike capability. Its ability to engage with air forces of up to 7 of the most powerful nations is not just about numbers of aircraft, but also the quality and integration of its system, enabling it to control the airspace over vast distances. The U.S. plans for 4 Ford-class carriers, with the USS John F. Kennedy scheduled for delivery in July 2025, followed by USS Enterprise in September 2029 and USS Doris Miller in February 2032. These additions will replace the aging Nimitz-class carriers, ensuring the U.S. maintains its 11-carrier fleet as mandated by Congress. However, this focus on carriers reveals a strategic bottleneck in protecting global commerce: the necessity for destroyers, which is pivotal for securing sea lanes and countering threats like piracy or asymmetric warfare, remains unaddressed due to limited numbers available. Currently, there are only 70 operational destroyers compared to the idle of 800 for comprehensive global coverage. Well, to be honest, this 800 number shouldn't be taken in an absolute form, as technological progress can reduce or even increase these numbers, but on an average, the numbers required is somewhere around 800. These 800 warships should have ability to do power projection for at least 400 miles from American shores. No matter how hard America or any country tries, it can't reach to this 800 number in the next 200 plus years. America never dominated the entire globe. The situation was such that there was no other navy around, so the US Navy freely moved and enforced its laws on other countries. Now, turning to the Chinese fleet, despite boasting over 600 ships, The composition leans heavily towards smaller vessels, many of which are not suited for long-range or combat-intensive operations. China's Type 003 carrier, while a setup from its predecessors with electronic magnet catapults similar to Ford class, still lags in overall technological sophistication and combat readiness compared to the US carriers. Recent development in China include the construction of more advanced destroyers like Type 055, but these are fewer in number and their operational range under combat conditions is limited, often not extending beyond 400 miles from the Chinese coast. The latest data from 2025 indicates that while both nations are expanding their fleets, the qualitative and strategic differences remain stark. The US focus on high-capability, versatile platforms like Ford-class carriers, while China emphasizes on quantity, though with growing quality in select ship classes. This dynamic affects global trade security as neither nations nor any other can singularly ensure the safety of maritime routes with the same efficacy as during the Cold War's peak. The strategic implication is a world where naval power projection is increasingly about technological superiority and ability to operate far from one's borders. This means that there is no navy or even cluster of navies which can guard the global trade and commerce. With rise of several navies in the 21st century, like China, India, and Russia, requirement for the US Navy becomes less. However, no navy can maintain the absolute dominance for more than 300 to 400 miles from its shores in a deglobalized world, where world will be multipolar in nature and every power will have its share of influence. Now look at this chart. We can see that globalization has stagnated for more than a decade now, since 2008 financial crisis, and now it's on steep decline due to many factors. We are on path of reaching to globalization level of 1920s and 30s. This raises one question: is spending so much money and having global presence worth it when there is no demand? We can see this clearly from how the US is behaving. Apart from tiredness, the US is indirectly telling the world that it's not interested in guarding the globalization. Trump's aggressive policies toward protectionism and increasing trade barriers shows how globalization is now fading away at an accelerated pace. There are many other factors like demographic decline and overall decline among societies around the world. By the way, if you're interested in knowing if tariffs will work in stopping the illegal migration and narcotics from Mexico and Canada, then watch my video. Link is in the description. Now, moving ahead and coming back to globalization. Globalization isn't just about words like economics or international relations. It's about everyday stuffs like phone you're watching this on, the coffee you might be drinking, or clothes you are wearing. Most of these goods travel by sea. Over 80% of global trade by volume and over 70% by value is maritime based. Imagine if these sea routes weren't secure. Your life would be very different. Well, it will be different very soon. The US Navy conducts freedom of navigation operations to ensure no country can claim control over international waters. In hotspots like South China Sea, where territorial disputes are intense, these operations maintain the status quo for international shipping. Remember the pirates movies? Well, the real-life piracy was a significant issue of Somalia. But thanks to US Navy, along with other international forces, incidents have plummeted. Task Force 151 has been instrumental here, with piracy incidents dropping from over 200 in 2008 to just a few now. The US Navy isn't just about combat or security, it's also a humanitarian force. After natural disasters like 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami or 2010 Haiti earthquake, the US Navy has been key in providing medical aid, food, water, and logistical support. Think about the USS Abraham Lincoln in 2004, which became a floating hospital for thousands. These humanitarian missions foster goodwill and reinforces alliances, which indirectly supports a stable trade environment. When countries trust each other, trade flows better and market expands. Now let's talk about tech because the US Navy is at the forefront. With satellites, drones, and advanced sensors, the US Navy can monitor threats from pirates to illegal fishing, which could otherwise disrupt trade. In a digital age, cybersecurity is vital too, protecting ships from cyber threats that could halt navigation or compromise safety. For nuclear-powered ships that can stay at sea for months to explore unmanned naval vehicles, the US Navy is pushing the boundaries. This not only increases operational efficiency but also reduces human cost of naval operations. Economically, the US Navy's role is immense. By providing security, the Navy reduces the need for private security on ships, which cuts down cost for shipping companies and ultimately for consumers. However, Navy is not for free, and now things are becoming costlier as countries increasing their trade barriers, showing less interest towards globalization. Through military exercises like RIMPAC, RIMPAC, the Navy builds trust and cooperation, which are vital for trade agreements and ensuring smooth commerce across borders. However, the US Navy isn't without its challenges, and those challenges are increasing every year. With the US government facing budget constraint in 2025, maintaining a global naval presence might get tougher and costlier for sure. This means fewer ships, less frequent operations, or delayed technological upgrades. Every FONOPs steer a pot in areas like South China Sea, potentially leading to diplomatic or even military tensions. The ecological footprint of Navy from fuel consumption affecting marine life is increasingly under scrutiny. Now let's ponder the unthinkable. What if the US Navy couldn't protect globalization, which will, by the way, happen very soon? Without a strong, reliable, and continuous deterrence, piracy could return with vengeance, especially in areas like Gulf of Aden or Strait of Malacca. This would mean higher shipping costs, delays, or even loss of goods. One attack on any cargo could bankrupt many insurance companies, which will obviously have negative impact on countries' economy. Strategic blockades will be major concerns as countries might attempt to control key maritime passages like the Strait of Hormuz or Suez Canal, leading to massive disruptions in oil and goods supply chain. The 2021 Suez Canal blockage was a minor hiccup compared to what could happen. All these incidents and uncertainties have a massive economic fallout. The cost to insure ships would skyrocket, pushing up the prices of everything we buy, potentially leading to inflation or economic instability. A weaker US naval presence might embolden other nations to assert control over sea routes, possibly reshaping the international norms and trade routes based on their interests. This will lead to not just trade conflicts but also military conflicts. Assertions by different power will fracture the traditional laws and norms. Countries might look to regional or bilateral security arrangements rather than a global navy, leading to more fragmented and potentially less secure maritime environment. The US Navy's contribution to globalization is about more than just military might. It's about ensuring that the world can trade, communicate, and grow together. And let me tell you one thing, the American taxpayers' money is used in billions and trillions to safeguard this system. While there are hurdles, the benefit in terms of economic stability, safeguard trade routes, and humanitarian supports are undeniable. If the US Navy's role were diminished, which will happen very soon, the world we know would change dramatically. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the US Navy and globalization. If you found this video informative, please like, subscribe for more contents like this, and let me know your thoughts in comments. Stay tuned for more. Peace out.